BABYMETAL is one of my favorite bands, and the funny thing is, if I would have heard their most popular track at the time, which was Gimme Chocolate, I would have skipped over that band because I fucking hate that song. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have skipped over BABYMETAL because of that, because usually when you hear about a new artist, the first thing you do is check out their most popular song, and on YouTube and all that, it was always Gimme Chocolate. That was always on the top of the list. I remember seeing them perform at one of those late night talk shows. I don't even remember which one it was, probably Jimmy Kimmel or something like that, and they played Gimme Chocolate, and it's like, damn, they have way better songs than that, you know, super J-pop inspired song. And so luckily for me, the first song I heard of theirs was Migitsune. Now that song is infinitely better. It is way, way better than Gimme Chocolate, like by miles in every way, shape, or form. It really shows what they can do as a band. And then when I heard the rest of their album, there is so much talent. They have the Kami band. Those people are legitimate, really good musicians, you know, that can run circles around some of the best musicians that are out there today. And so yeah, they combined that really good influence that they can just pretty much play anything they want, throw in a little bit of that J-pop element, and then they made something that was really huge, and I absolutely love it. Their sophomore album, Metal Resistance, was a huge step up. Like that other album, it was like self-titled, it was a good album, but Metal Resistance was something that just like took all the best elements of like every type of metal there is, almost every genre, and in different genres. There's even a song that has a little bit of ska in it, just everything, and played to the best of their abilities with a little bit of that J-pop flavor. And it's so good. It's one of my top favorite albums. It's something that I listen to quite a bit. You know, I remember listening to it specifically in 2016 when it came out, and I was just over and over and repeat. There's a lot of bands out there that are incredible, but this is one of those bands that just hit all of the right buttons to me. And the cool thing is I had the opportunity to see them in 2016, which really redeemed when I tried to see them in 2014. I remember being at my desk when I used to work for Newegg, and I tried to buy tickets and they were sold out in seconds because they hadn't been to the US before. They were finally coming to LA and it was sold out seconds. I refreshed the page within seconds and it was already gone. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely? So it was really bummed me out. And then the funny thing is I ran into those, you know, the guys, the Swine Bros. They're the guys that were trying to copyright the word like react or reaction or whatever, and trying to do React World until everyone shat all over them. Yeah, those guys. So it's a good show. It was a good time. And I was heavily anticipating for them to release their new album because I'm like, damn, what are they going to do from here? This was some of the best shit that they've written. Like the musicianship is so good, and there's a lot of people that are unaware because of that whole J-pop thing that really kind of turned them off, probably turned a lot of people off. And then say there are some tracks on there that are just absolute bangers, just wow, really some of the best stuff that I've ever like listened to as far as like say just being creative and patterns and just stay power. And then unfortunately one of the guitarists, Mikio Fujioka, I'm sorry if I said it wrong, but he died in January of 2018. I think he fell off something when he was at an observatory, and so that was really unfortunate for them. And you know, they pushed forward, which of course they were going to push forward because they're, you know, they're a really strong band. And I imagine that this guy was really responsible for a lot of the riffing and a lot of the leads, in my opinion, because I don't really know the band too well, as far as I'm not like obsessed or anything, but just from like listening to this new record, there was a huge step back in as far as like the talent goes and the writing process. So I imagine I think that he was part of it, and it happens, you know. It's like one of those bands, like Born of Osiris, for example. When Jason Richardson left, like the quality of that band went down quite a bit. Of course, Born of Osiris has always kind of stayed up in the upper echelon as far as popularity and musicianship, but you can tell definitely Jason Richardson did a lot for that band. And when Jason Richardson even joined Chelsea Grin, they put out an EP when he was in the band, and it was the best stuff they've ever written. It's still the best stuff that Chelsea Grin has, in my opinion. So it happens, you know, you can still be a pretty good band, but once like somebody with a lot of like talent, you know, leaves, and unfortunately this dude passed away, it seemed to kind of affect them a little bit. But let's talk about BABYMETAL's new album they just dropped, 2019 release, Metal Galaxy. And I gotta tell you, I have some mixed feelings, and let me explain. Even though BABYMETAL is one of my favorite bands, one of the things that always annoyed me is their albums as a whole. The way that they would put them together, it would be almost like a mix. It was almost like putting a mix, like it's almost like picking songs from each different album and throwing a mix together, and it's like, here it is. That's what it's always seemed to be, almost like a greatest hits or something, because the production would be different in a lot of the different songs. Like, say, sometimes you can hear some of the songs like, oh, these were recorded in the same session, and then other songs were recorded way later and stuff, and then they just throw it together and it's like, here's the album. And so you would hear the drums are completely different, the guitars, like everything's like totally different in a lot of the songs. And you know, some people may like that, but me, you know, from what I'm used to listening to, I kind of like to hear it almost like you're listening to a concert, where when you go to a show, you know, you have the one kit, you have just the basic tones, and then you can switch things up, of course, with effects and everything like that, but it's just, you have the basics, and then it's just ran all the way through, so then you kind of know what to expect. And a lot of times, you know, that's the way you do it. That's just the way you do it, and that's the way that I've always liked it. And it's one of those things that in this new album, it's so much more noticeable to me, more than all the other albums, because some of the songs on there, and actually I would say the majority of them, they just have this sound to them that is so just lackluster. It just sounds so compressed, and like I can barely hear the guitars, and the kick doesn't stand out, and I don't really hear much reverb on the vocals or anything. It just sounds like it's not even mixed, like it's not finished. That's what it sounds like to me. Or it sounds like they just took a filter, you know, when they were mastering, and then it just kind of drowned out everything. Like, that's when I started hearing like the songs that were being released, like Distortion and Elevator Girl and Starlight, like they were just pushing some of these songs out. I'm like, good songs, but the quality's terrible. So the album opens up with Future Metal, which is like, it's an okay opener, and I think it's called Future Metal just because it sounds a little bit futuristic, where it's kind of lacking a snare, and it's, you know, they put in an effect, and I don't know, I feel like it would have sounded much better with the snare, but it's okay. I feel like there's something that could have opened up the album much better, like say in Metal Resistance. I think the Road of Resistance is such a great opener, especially since it's such a fantastic song. It's like I was hoping that they would match that same energy, and it's just totally different. And you know, it is what it is though. Dot Dot Dance is a pretty good song. It mixes the J-pop and metal very well together, but one of the things that annoys me, like I talked about before, is the production. This is one of those songs that it's like, it could sound so much better if it were mixed or mastered properly, and there's a lot of songs in this album like that, so it bugs me. But hey, there are some really good moments in this song though. This is a good song, especially the bridge. Dot Dot Dance is a pretty good track. It has that mix of J-pop and this metal that I do appreciate, and it also has a guy named Taka Mitsumoto that's a part of it, and he's like a big producer. He's like really big up there, so he's a part of this. Now, the only thing that I don't like about this, like I said, it's one of those tracks that where just the production, just whoever did this, it's just not as good as it could be, especially when you hear some of the other tracks on this album, which I'll get to in a minute. Elevator Girl is a really good song. I really like it. It's very catchy. It's one of those singles that they released before. And the unfortunate thing is that they put an English version on this album, which it's not the best. The original version is better. When it comes to the chorus, like the patterns of the Japanese version is so much better. It flows way better. This sounds like they were having a hard time trying to oh, okay, what do we do? You know, what should we say to replace the Japanese patterns? And then you put in the English one. It seems like they kind of struggled to find something, and it doesn't flow well. It doesn't sound good. And this is coming from somebody who watches dubbed anime versus sub. I will watch sub anime if it's the only thing that's available. But if dubbed anime is available, I will watch it, because at the end of the day, I do like subtitles, but I don't like reading all the time. Especially a lot of times I'm working, I'm multitasking, and it's like, shit, I don't know what the hell they're saying. I can't look away from the screen. So much better. It's so much better. Shanti Shanti Shanti, I don't really like the song. It has a little bit of that Middle Eastern flavor to it. It's whatever. It doesn't really do anything for me. Oh Majinai, pirate based. It's a pretty fun song, but overall it's not something that I'm really that into. And they always have some like fun songs like this, so it's nothing new. And you know, there's probably a lot of people that are gonna love it, like, oh, that's so cool, it's so cute. But to me, it's like, it's fine. It has its moments. The breakdown in the bridge is actually, it's pretty nice where it slows down the tempo. It's pretty cool, but overall it's just goofy and you know, it might be fun to, like, I don't know, drink to or do some kind of weird circle do-si-do shit to or something like that if you're just trying to have a good time. But as far as just listening, I'm like, it's another one I can skip over to. Brand New Day is a pretty cool song. I like it quite a bit, and you can tell it has influences of Tim Henson and Scott LaPage because they're from a band called, and I'm gonna pronounce this wrong because I've never actually heard the name pronounced, but Polyphia. It's one of the two, I imagine. But if you listen to them, I describe their music as the rock version of Animals as Leaders, because Animals as Leaders is obviously like metal based, but they're just instrumental and talented as all hell. Very good songs, very good songwriters. They're very, very fantastic musicians, and I can definitely hear their influence on this track. But what annoys me even more is because I love the production of Polyphia, whatever the hell. Sorry if you don't make fun of me, guys, but I love the production that they put into their songs. It sounds so good, and then hearing them on this, it's like so like ugh. It's a good song though, but like I said, it's just the production takes away from it. It's not as good as it could be. Night Night Burn is a song that I imagine is gonna be really fun to play live. Now, I haven't really been catching any of their stuff lately, and I haven't been seeing what song they've been playing. I'm sure the singles that they've released, they've been playing those, of course. But like, I imagine this song would be a really fun song to jump up to. It has that very groovy feel to it, and you know, a little bit of that Congo, like some of that, like that island feel, some of the drums, you know, some of those smaller ones. Excuse me, I don't know what the hell they're called. The smaller toms. But like, it definitely has like a very fun feel to it and a very good vibe where being at a show, it'd be very fun to hear this. So pretty good track. In the Name Of has an intro that sounds like it should have been the first song to this album. Like it should have opened it up. But then it kind of comes in, you're expecting like, so, oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be really good. And then it's like, oh, there's no singing on it. It's just growls and they're really drowned out. You can barely hear them. You know, it doesn't sound very good. And then there's this weird, disgusting drum, this little tom that just sounds so fake. Now it may not be, but it just doesn't fit. And it's played through the song constantly. I don't like it at all. It's like it's like they had an idea and then it just kind of like stopped. You know, there should have been some revisions or something. I'm not a huge fan of this song at all. I think as far as the songs go on this album, I think this is the worst song on this album. Distortion is the next track, which is the first single that they released from this new album. And I gotta say, it's a good song, very catchy, especially the chorus. I love when the double bass kicks in. It sounds really good. It sounds like that perfect blend that I always talk about. But I gotta say, it should, you know, and I sound like a broken record, but I wasn't so excited when I first heard the song, even when it first came out, because I was like, it just doesn't sound good. It sounds so muffled. Like, what's up with the production? I'm not very fond of this, but I recognize it's a good song, but goddamn, come on. Papaya is another single that they released before the album dropped, and I gotta tell you, it kind of pissed me off because the production on this song is good. It's really good. The guitars, a lot of treble, very clean. The vocals, very clean. Everything I can hear very distinctly. It sounds like how it should sound, how the rest of this album should sound. And it just makes me mad because there's songs on here that are so much better than Papaya, but don't have as good as production. I'm just like, did they not hear this? Who mixed this shit? And this was like, this is all satisfactory. Like, you hear this song and you can hear the difference. Like, you can really hear the difference, especially if you're listening on headphones. If you have good headphones, like say, shit, where are my headphones? These bad boys right here, $300 fucking, but only because, you know, they're the Rock signature. I love the Rock, so of course I'm gonna spend a pretty penny to get these. But I'm just saying, if you have good headphones, you'll really notice. And if you have bad headphones, I can only imagine how shitty the other songs sound, because damn, like I'm telling you, like it's gonna go downhill pretty fast after this. I'm assuming this song is pronounced Kagaru. I don't really remember hearing it in the song. I probably should have listened to it again. I listened to it a couple of times, but still, I was just really focusing on the chorus, which is so nice. It sounds so lovely. But again, listening to Papaya and then going right to this track, it sounds so shitty. because of the production. It just sounds so fucking bad. It's that's why I said like it sounds like a mix, like it's from a completely different albums. Like they've always had that issue with just recording in different sessions, but this is just so noticeable. I don't understand how this was released this way. Starlight is arguably the best song off this album, and it's a tribute to Mikio, the guitarist that passed away, and it sucks. This song is so good, but I can't stand the production. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say this. I should probably put a fucking counter. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna put up a counter beforehand, and I'm still gonna leave this in here because, you know, and we're gonna see what we're up to at this point, because I'm telling you, this is a very good song. If it just only had the production of Papaya, this song would be so fucking perfect. But everything gets drowned out. At a certain point when the chorus kicks in, you can barely hear the guitars. Like you can barely, it just drowns out into the background. And I imagine if you're not a musician, you're not gonna understand what the hell you're hearing. It's gonna be completely unintelligible. But to where I can kind of understand what's being played, I can still hear it, and then I can still put in that repetition in my head. But if you're just a casual listener, that shit'll get drowned out real quick. And I just wonder, like, how the fuck did they release it like this? I don't get it. Shine is the next track, and I think it's a continuation to a tribute. I could be totally wrong, but it seems like it has to do with both songs, Starlight and Shine. It would make sense, especially since they're back to back, which would be really cool. But it's a very good song, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of their song The One, which was the outro track to Metal Resistance, which is one of my favorite songs. I love that song. It's a fantastic ballad. This song's good too, but it also, like I said, just the lack of production is one of those things that kind of just drowns it out a little bit. And that leads me to the final track of this album. Oh boy. This one's called Arcadia, and it would be probably their best song on this album. You know, it has those flavors of Metal Resistance, and when they start getting really fast, and there's always songs that they've done in each album like that, and it's like, oh, this is a really fucking good song, kind of like Ijime, and they have Metal Resistance, and you have Arcadia. But the one thing about this track, it's the worst sounding track on here as far as production. It's so bad. It's not even like the other ones that I've been criticizing. This one doesn't make any sense to me at all. You can barely hear the kick, you can barely hear the guitars. It doesn't make sense to me. When I'm hearing it, I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, seriously. This song has so much potential. I like it a lot, especially when it's like the blast beats come in. So good. I love when this band puts in blast beats, and they don't do it all the time, but when they do it, it just sounds so damn good. And I'm just like, come on, guys. This is good music. You guys are talented as hell, but I don't know what happened with the production of this album. It doesn't make any sense to me in any way, shape, or form. You know, it reminds me of, hell, I used to be a big fan of this band called Zayo. And they released an album, I believe it was in 06. Could have been 05, but maybe 06. Called The Fear Is What Keeps Us Here. I'm pretty sure. I'm just going off of memory. And this was before, you know, there was all like, you just go online and you hear everything. This is when you would go to Tower Records and just pick up a record. And let me tell you, I was so pissed off because the quality, the production, it was so garbage. I was like, is this a fucking black metal band? Like, it literally sounded like it was purposefully bad, like say what black metal bands do, where it sounds like they're fucking recording with the potato. What the hell happened? Like, you have good songs, but bad production, which makes it very hard to listen to, especially when you can compare and contrast to their other albums. Like, just open up Metal Resistance, or hell, don't even do that. Like I said, listen to Papaya, and then listen to all the other tracks, and you'll be like, what the fuck happened? There are some bangers on here. There are some very good tracks on here, but I just think the sound, the production, the quality is so poor, and it doesn't make sense to me. Like, because you hear this shit, it's kind of like saying when companies make decisions. It's like Microsoft naming the latest console Xbox One. You question these things, and you're like, how did this happen? There's too many brilliant minds surrounding these things to where something like that could happen and people can be like, yeah, this is a good decision. This is a really smart decision. And so when I hear this stuff, the quality is obviously bad. It's not, it's obviously much lower than the previous albums. It's much lower than the track Papaya. So when you hear this shit, doesn't your brain like immediately go, we have to do better? Like, this isn't good enough. And then it doesn't happen. I wonder how that happens. Like, it just makes it so mind-boggling to me. I don't understand how the fuck that could happen. Like, when you're at a certain level where it's like you have a label, you have a bunch of the best engineers, you have the best musicians, their ears aren't broken. And aren't they like, oh, this can sound way better? And then what happens? What happens with the conversation? Is it just like, who fucking cares? Is that what it is? I don't get it. I really don't. So that's why it's like with this album, you know, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to anybody because of my ears. Now, people that are huge Baby Metal fans, they're probably eating this up, you know, they just love it. People that aren't musicians, the quality isn't the biggest issue. It's just like, is there enough bass? Are the songs good? It's probably fine. But if you're a musician, if you're really like a music connoisseur, you're probably gonna be confused. You're probably gonna be like, what the fuck? This is weird. You're probably gonna notice the quality difference. You're gonna notice how different the production is in the album compared to some of the other tracks. Now, like say, if it was all trash across the board, you know, I probably would be better. Like, even that would probably be better than having like a standout track where it's like, this is infinitely better. Why doesn't it all sound like this or even close to this? I don't know. It's weird shit to me, but I want to know what you guys think. You know, fans of Baby Metal, people listen to this album. What did you think of it? Give me your honest and unbiased opinions. You know, maybe you loved it and maybe you think I'm crazy. I would love to hear that too. Maybe I'm going way too hard on them, but I think the reason I'm going so hard on them is because they're one of my favorite bands. Like, I really like their stuff and I've always admired the production of their track, especially their biggest standout ones, the ones that are like, oh, this shit's epic right here. It's always good fucking quality. Like I'm saying, listen to Road of Resistance. To me, is their best fucking song, and the production is pristine. It is prestigious. It is the top of their game. And then you hear this album, you're like, what the fuck, man? What? Doesn't make any sense. But alright guys, thank you for watching this review. I'm gonna have some more reviews out. Next week, there's a lot of stuff's been coming out. I have a lot of things to catch up on. And I'm definitely gonna get to as much as I can as far as, you know, this type of stuff that I've stumbled upon and whatnot. So, anywho, have a good day guys, and I'll see you in the next video.